Up on Mountain News this morning, the January 6th pipe bomb suspect confesses to targeting political parties. And Kentucky's minimum wage has been frozen at $7.25 since 2009. But could that change this new year?
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Welcome to Mountain News This Morning. I'm Neely Green here with you on this Tuesday, December 30th. The time is now 4:59. Let's check in with meteorologist Megan Desmond for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, happy Tuesday morning.
Happy Tuesday, Neely. And it's a chilly start to your day for many folks out and about across the region. And for some, we're seeing those flurries across the sky. Here's a look at that satellite and radar. Again, just a little bit of some flurry activity. Not going to see any accumulation of the snow as it moves through, but it's still nice to see as those temperatures are plummeted as compared to yesterday. I mean, we're looking at 18 degrees right now in Clintwood and Logan, 16 degrees in Wise, and we'll still see those temperatures dropping for the next couple hours before that sun does eventually rise and warm us up into those highs, which will still be below freezing for many folks. That freezing mark is 32 degrees, and most folks are at or below that for the warmest part of your day. So bundle up. It'll be completely necessary. Gloves, hats, whatever you can do to make sure you're staying warm all day long. Here's a look at that Tuesday forecast for you. High temperatures will be around that 4 p.m. time frame, seeing a little bit of sun during the afternoon before the clouds increase overnight. Neely.
Megan, thank you. Officials in North Carolina say one person is dead and another is critically injured due to a fire at a home tied to NASCAR driver Denny Hamlin. The fire broke out Sunday at the home in Stanley, about 20 miles north from Charlotte. The identities of two victims have not yet been released. Local TV stations are reporting the home belonged to Hamlin's parents. A man accused of planting bombs on the eve of January 6th says he wanted to target political parties. Bombs were found outside both the DNC and RNC on January 6, 2021. WYMT's Washington correspondent Brendan Colberton has the latest from the nation's capital.
Brian Cole initially told the Justice Department he was not responsible for placing pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC, but he did confess after investigators showed him this video, which shows a hooded figure believed to be Cole carrying a bag near those buildings. According to court documents, Cole says he was not targeting Congress, but instead political parties because he believed they are, quote, in charge. Cole says he was disillusioned with the results of the 2020 presidential election and wanted to speak up for those who believe it was stolen. Neither pipe bomb actually exploded, but the Justice Department argues Cole wanted them to and should remain in jail pending his trial. Authorities arrested Cole on December 4th at his home in Virginia, following their 5-year investigation. Investigators say they found shopping bags full of materials used to make bombs. Cole is set to appear in Washington, D.C. federal court on Tuesday. In Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
The federal fraud investigation in Minnesota took a new turn yesterday. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem shared a video showing federal agents at several child care centers investigating allegations of fraud. The tips aren't from the FBI. They're from a video posted this weekend by YouTuber Nick Shirley, which was seen more than 100 million times.
While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously.
There are 14 specific programs funded by Medicaid and run by the state of Minnesota that are currently under investigation by the state and federal government. According to the prosecutors, child care isn't one of them. A powerful winter storm blanketed much of the Midwest in a blizzard Sunday, dumping snow and bringing whiteout conditions to roadways. Zero visibility and ice caused accidents from Iowa to Michigan to Minnesota. A suspected tornado touched down in central Illinois Sunday, scattering debris and damaging buildings. The system is now moving into the northeast. There have been thousands of flight cancellations and delays in the last few days, with more expected this week. More than 100 million people have been under high wind advisories. 2025 is on track to have the lowest number of fatalities on Kentucky roads in the last 5 years. So far this year, we've seen 655 deadly crashes. That's down from 702 last year and more than 300 less than the peak in 2005 with 985 deaths. In 2025, transportation officials say seatbelts were not in use in nearly 50% of those deadly wrecks. Alcohol was involved in 14% of them. The foreign policy focus continues as President Trump spends the holidays at Mar-a-Lago. The president discussed an alleged drug site that was targeted as the Pentagon also confirmed another boat strike in its pressure campaign against Venezuela. The president hosted Israel's prime minister for meetings, leveling threats at Iran and Hamas as the two push to move to phase 2 of the Israel-Gaza peace deal. CBS News' Kamal Afzali has more from London.
It can be very difficult on occasion, but you need a strong man.
There was barely a sign of any private disagreements as President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stood publicly united at Mar-a-Lago in their first meeting since the fall. The president lobbed threats at Iran over Israel's fears that Tehran could be rebuilding its ballistic missile stockpile.
If it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. Consequences will be very powerful.
The president threatened Hamas once again that if the group doesn't disarm, a key requirement to move his peace deal forward,
They'll be held to pay for them, and we don't want that.
Phase 1 also calls for Hamas to hand over the remaining Israeli hostages, alive or dead. But the body of Ran Gavili is still in Gaza. The leaders met with his family Monday. Meanwhile, Hamas says Israel is not upholding its end of Phase 1.
Israel's lived up to the plan, 100%.
The ceasefire has mostly held, but both sides accuse the other of violations. Humanitarian groups still warn of limits on the flow of aid into Gaza. Also Monday, President Trump was asked about a strike on an alleged drug site inside Venezuela.
It's a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats.
The president didn't say where or when, or crucially, who carried out the strike. The Pentagon has directed questions to the White House, though it did announce that the U.S. military struck another suspected drug boat in the Pacific, killing 2 people. Kamal Afzali, CBS News, London.
Monday's boat strike was the 30th launched by the Trump administration against an alleged drug target in the region this year. So far, more than 100 people have been killed. Kentucky's minimum wage has been frozen at $7.25 since 2009. But one lawmaker says he'll try to change that in January. State Representative George Brown has represented a portion of Lexington since 2015. He says he'll work to raise the state's minimum wage when the Kentucky legislative session starts next month. He says minimum wage should be at least $15 an hour. Brown acknowledges it'll be an uphill battle to get a bill passed next year, but he says it's a battle he wants to take on.
Legislation is always a struggle, particularly if you're in the minority, which is where we find ourselves. We're in the minority party.
Republican State Senator Matt Nunn of Sadieville sent a statement to WKYT last August. He says the market should decide wages, and setting a one-size-fits-all minimum wage across the Commonwealth wouldn't be wise. 2025 is nearly over, along with the enhanced tax credits under the Affordable Care Act, which are set to expire tomorrow. Officials say it will cause health premiums to increase for many Kentuckians who get insurance under the Health Care Exchange in 2026. Priscilla Easterling with Kentucky Voices for Health says looking ahead into 2026, some Kentuckians could see a $1,000 monthly premium increase. She says some could take desperate measures.
You know, I've had conversations with folks where they're already planning to just ration medication. They're planning to ration their food. CareSource exited the marketplace for 2026. So we're down from 4 issuers on the Connect marketplace down to 3.
Easterling says if you're one of the 90,000 Kentuckians on the exchange, one of the options to look at is to find a connector, adding there are free ones in all 120 counties. Well, thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Tiny free libraries you see in many neighborhoods across the country are being turned into little food pantries. We'll tell you why.
And we are tracking snow chances as we're heading throughout the week. I'll tell you how much snow you can expect coming up.